Hey brother! Disney of course just released their first trailer for Frozen 2, and despite the fact that there is only one spoken word throughout the entirety of the trailer, it looks so epic. Like maybe one of the best trailers I've seen ever. Like full stop. And there is just so much new information for us to unpack. So let's just dive into the tidal wave that is the new chapter of Frozen. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I have been a little bit worried about Frozen 2. Disney isn't always known for their animated sequels being absolutely spectacular. In fact, once upon a time, they were literally just practice rituals for younger animators to kind of cut their teeth on. And aside from that, how do you even follow up Frozen? Like, how? And the answer, leaves. Just kidding. Here's freaking how: action sequences. So cool! This is so far from what I ever expected Frozen 2 to look like, and I am so excited. But let's go ahead and run through the trailer and we'll just expand as we go. The whole thing starts with Elsa facing down some pretty dangerous looking water. And despite the obvious potential danger involved, she, wait for it, running directly into it. Because obviously. We get to see her take a couple of spins at tackling running on water here, but the first thing that I actually want to talk about is just the water itself, because it is absolutely gorgeous. Beyond well done, especially when she shoots the huge ice wave in front of her, all Frozone-like. Are you still wondering where your super suit is, Lucius? Because I think I found it. But yeah, no, like the way that they animated this like frozen sheet of water that has like a fluid foundation and it just cracks exactly the way you knew it always would, kind of like you had a firm understanding of fluid dynamics or something. Anyway, this scene is kind of fascinating for a couple of reasons. Like for one, boats? We know that Arendelle exists within a fjord, and this particular group of people has plenty of experience with boats. Yeah, you're right. That clip was probably unnecessarily sad. There were, in fact, other clips that we could have used that also have boats in them. But the point is, why does Elsa need to run/walk on water at all? Like, especially during high winds at night, huge waves. What's the deal? It's tricky to figure out exactly what's going on here, because it seems like some urgency is involved, but at the same time, I'm not getting the vibe that anyone is in, like, imminent danger. It almost seems like she's taken a few swings at it, almost as if this is more of like a training exercise of some sort. But then the attempts also seem kind of futile. It actually reminded me a lot of that scene from The Dark Knight Rises where all of the prisoners inside of the pit are trying to make the jump to escape. So that kind of gave me the thought that Elsa is maybe trapped here wherever it is that she may be. She's not necessarily in any immediate danger. There's no one there to prevent her from leaving. The environment just kind of does that on its own. But more on that in a few. If we continue moving forward in the trailer, we get our first glimpse at Anna, which, like, yay! She seems to have been alerted somehow to the presence of these glowing crystals. These crystals are definitely going to have some kind of significance to the movie because all of the little patterns visible in them are also found in the snowflake from the teaser poster. And I say snowflake in air quotes because I'm not even sure that that's a snowflake at all. It's clearly meant to look like one, but there is one very clearly 100% sure this was not an accident reason it can't be. And that is the number 6. Now, everyone knows that they're their own special, entirely unique snowflake, unlike any others. Thanks, Mom. Except snowflakes all have one thing always in common, and that is 6 points. And the reason why I know that this poster is no accident is because of the sheer lengths that the animation team went to in the original Frozen to ensure that this rule was followed always. Even during the insane animation sequence as Elsa builds her ice castle, everything is in 6s. It's part of the molecular structure of frozen water that forces this to always be true. But that brings us back to the snowflake in the teaser poster, which clearly has more of a rule of 4s thing going on. And that makes things interesting because if it's not a snowflake, Then what is it? I am so glad you asked. You're always so good at asking exactly what I need you to. Well, this took some digging. My first and most immediate thought was that it kind of just resembles a compass. In fact, Derek, can you just blur this out a little bit? Yep, see, there you go. See it now, blurry, it looks exactly like a compass. But why a compass, and what do these little symbols mean? Like, are they runes? We know from the first Frozen that Norwegian runes are actually featured kind of prominently, most notably on the book that the king goes to when he knows that Elsa's powers have gotten out of hand. So that led us down kind of a rabbit hole, but what we ultimately found is kind of amazing. Let me introduce you to the Norse Compass, aka the Vegvizir? 100% sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. The Vegvizir is none other than the Norwegian runic compass, and just so happens to absolutely 100% replicate a snowflake whenever it heckin' feels like it. Now, the symbol dates back to two specific places in Norwegian culture, and the first is what is referred to as the Huld manuscript, where the compass is mentioned as a symbol of guidance and protection and translates to wayfinder. To which I was like, we have a Disney Wayfinder already.
It's called wayfinding, princess.
That's right, guys. Moana is Elsa. I'm just kidding, that's the worst idea ever. Except, if I'm being for real, they are both facing down water in their trailers. I wonder if Elsa's tried helping out a turtle yet. The good news is the compass as a symbol is also extremely prominent in one other location in Norwegian culture, none other than the Galdrebrock. Wait. No, you don't know what that is yet. Don't worry, it's coming. The Galdrebrock just so happens to be, wait for it, an Icelandic book of spells that details randomly compiled spells and provides knowledge about magic.
Sorcery.
I told you. Seriously, guys, this was like one of those research moments where we were like, do you think there's any significance to a Norwegian compass? Oh, it comes from a book of magic. Cool. And now, why does a book like that sound so familiar? Now I feel like we're getting somewhere. Okay, so now moving forward, if we go to IMDb, we know that the official description of the movie goes something as follows. Elsa, Anna, Kristoff, and Olaf are going far in the forest to know the truth about an ancient mystery of their kingdom. Ancient mystery? You mean like where magic children come from?
Born with the powers or cursed? Born.
Born, eh? Like inherited? Like maybe one of the parents also has powers? Is there any chance that we might just get to see a flashback to their parents when they're much younger demonstrating their own powers? Is it possible that Anna and Elsa will find this book and go to seek out where these powers originated from? Is it possible that what we're seeing Anna clutching in this dark cave is in fact that book? Like we said earlier, Elsa seems to be by herself in a prison of sorts attempting to escape. I can't help but notice that Anna is by herself here and also seems to be making a leap for an escape of her own. But who would they be escaping from? Who has maybe trapped them? Okay, now stay with me now. I'm going to say giants. Yes, now I do know for a fact that seems like it's coming a little bit out of nowhere, but hear me out. If we go back to our snowflake for a minute, we can try and do a little bit of interpreting. The symbols that appear here are also visible outside of Anna's balcony, and therefore I'm assuming kind of significant. We said earlier we thought these might be runes, so the first thing we did was whip out our handy dandy rune charts. What, you don't have a pull down rune chart at your house? Me neither, Derek did this too. Actually, I'm pointing to nothing right now. He just did this afterwards.
Sorcery.
The thing is here though, the runes or symbols that we see on the snowflake are not exactly dead ringers for the Norwegian runes that we're actually familiar with. But each of the points do seem to be like a version of the runes we're familiar with, so it kind of seems like maybe they've taken some creative efforts to make sure we don't all figure this out ahead of time. But we are not casual viewers, so let's do some deciphering. Now, I will be the first to say that this might seem kind of like a reach, but when you find out what the closest matches mean, it might surprise you. We started with the one on the bottom left, which is simply a diamond, and sure enough, there is a diamond shape in the alphabet we're familiar with called an Inga's. The Inga's rune is the rune of isolation or separation in order to create a space or place where the process of transformation into higher states of being can occur. And not for nothing, but like, isn't the most popular Disney song of all time about Elsa's kingdom of isolation, where she goes and transforms herself into a full-fledged ice power aficionado, and also comes to terms with her relationship with the cold? It never bothered her. Yeah, I would say that one is pretty much dead on. Next up is the symbol in the top left, which at first I thought looked more like a person and less like a rune, especially since none of them really seem to fit or even have like the dot. But I thought if you remove the dot and adjust a little bit for some styling, you're basically left with a straight line, aka the ISO rune, which in more modern times is actually very frequently displayed with a line with a dot above it. Again, at first, I will admit that I wasn't immediately completely sold on this conversion until I looked up what this rune means. Ice, to which I don't think I need to explain how it could possibly relate to a movie called Frozen. But in case you do want me to connect those dots, frozen water is ice. Moving down to the bottom right, again, none of the runes have any dots, but if you connect all of the dots together, you get a whole arrow or a Tawaz. And just let me know if any of this sounds familiar to you. Tawaz is the rune of the balance and justice ruled from a higher rationality, the rune of sacrifice of the individual self for well-being of the whole society. Yeah, that's basically Anna to a T. Was. And at this point, I'm pretty sold on the idea that all of these are just stylized runes. I mean, the first three are like dead on. So that leaves us with just the top right rune, which if you rotate just a little bit, very closely resembles the Thurziaz rune, which literally translates to giants. It turns out that giants actually have a tremendous role in Norwegian culture, largely, get it, because they're giants, as huge rocks. The original belief was that all of the fjords and canyons and mountains that scatter the Scandinavian landscape were literally carved into being, or literally are, giants. These giants were referred to as Jotnar, or literally frost giants. And it was said that these giants would turn to stone if ever exposed to sunlight. Which brings us back full circle to the teaser poster, which shows us the Frozen logo in an entirely new way. It's no longer quite literally frozen top to bottom the way that we've seen it in the past. It is now literally half stone. I think that Anna and Elsa are going to go in search of the information that led to Elsa's powers, how she got them and where they came from. We know that within this world, powers are not unique specifically to Elsa thanks to the trolls who have clearly had experience with them before. And along the way, I think we're going to see them encounter others who also have powers and maybe, just maybe, won't be happy to see them. Oh, and there's of course that last scene in the trailer where it's fall and beautiful and epic. For my question of the day, how did you guys feel about the trailer? What did you think? Do you think there's a chance Anna could have powers? Do you think there will be giants? Leave all of your thoughts in the towel section down below. Now, we all know from the original Frozen movie that Anna and Hans finish each other's sandwiches, but over here at Super Carlin Brothers, we finish each other's salamanders, or at least Tina and Newt do from Fantastic Beasts. Which is why we are happy to bring to you this limited edition Super Carlin Brothers t-shirt available at SuperCarlinBrothers.store, which is only going to be available through the end of February 2019, so go and check it out now. But guys, thanks as always for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you'd like some more Frozen action, you can click right up here to have Norwegian wood stacking explained. Trust me, it's interesting. Or over here to have the Norwegian word hygge explained. But Jay, that's all I've got for you today, man. I will see you on Tuesday.